Highest Work, a podcast where we are gathering and sharing the very best ideas for spiritually based business and life success. My name is George Cao, and I'm glad to be here with you. Today in our episode, we're going to be talking about improving your industry, the place and where you work and the industry of which your work is part of. And also we'll be talking about improving your community citizenship, which is your neighborhood, your city, your country, etc. So it should be an inspiring episode. I look forward to seeing what you think about it, and let's go into today's quote. Today's quote is by the beloved Martin Luther King Jr., and this is what he said. Everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. What a wonderful person he was, and what an inspiration to all of us. So everybody can be great because anybody can serve, and that's what we're talking about today. Sometimes I hear people who are idealists say, you know, George, I want to help the world, but before I can help the world, I have to make a lot of money first. And then once I make a lot of money, then I can help the world, because then I'll have a lot of money to give to the world. I'll have a lot of money I can put into charities or invest in social entrepreneurship and give to people who are in need. And I used to think that way too. I used to have this goal of making lots and lots, be really rich so that I can be really comfortable, my family can be really comfortable, and then I can give lots of free money or extra money to the world, right? My thoughts have changed about this over time. I've come to realize that thanks to how the world has changed to become so much closer together through online technology, through social media, we, you and I, can now each change the world, even if we are not rich. And in fact, some of the greatest world changers today are not wealthy, but they know how to use the internet to share important messages and to benefit important causes. So I invite you to remember and to imagine the power that you have to change society for the better by learning how to use the readily available online technologies that we have to consistently, persistently, and passionately share the messages you find to be the most important. So I encourage you to do that. Don't feel you have to be super well educated. Don't feel you have to be well known or to be rich in money to be able to change the world. You don't. In fact, I feel that so many people who believe they have to have wealth or fame to change the world, they go off and pursue wealth and fame, initially with a good intention, but they end up getting caught in the pursuit of wealth and fame, and may never even get to change the world in the way that they really wanted to in the beginning. So start changing the world today. And as you may have heard in the previous episodes, in fact, everything you do today changes the world. And the more conscious and the more full of love you bring to your actions today, the more the world changes for the better. All right, we have been talking in the previous couple of episodes, and will continue today, about mindful activism. And as you may have seen, I had a mind map that I've been sharing with you, and I'm going to continue and finish up that mind map today. And then in the next episode, I'm going to be interviewing one of my favorite authors, who writes really about mindful activism, even though she doesn't call it that. And so anyway, let's go into let's go back into the mind map, and I'm going to finish up that today. Here we go. And those of you who are listening, I know most of you are listening, I will be talking through the mind map as much as possible, so don't be afraid that you cannot see it. You'll still get all the ideas. And later on, you can always go and look at the mind map yourself and dig into this very rich resource and enjoy it when you have a chance. Okay. All right, so let's talk about improving your industry and citizenship. In the first episode of this series, we talked about greening what you consume. And then in the previous episode, we talked about intentional social media and then helping those you can most help. Today, let's begin with improving your industry. So, if you are working in a job, if you have a business or building a business, that means you are working within an industry. And if you're working within an industry, you can make a big change in your industry if you realize the power that you have. And again, the power begins with understanding how to use social media, which we talked about last time. But let me bring you through a couple of questions to help you change your industry. So first of all, what is happening in your industry that you don't believe is right? In my industry of online marketing, there's so much that I feel can be better. One of the things is there's so much manipulation in online marketing. There's so much deception and ulterior motives, such as people saying, "Oh, I'm going to give you this free content. Please sign up. If you want this free report, if you want this free webinar, put your email address here, and you'll get the free webinar." But secretly, they want your email address so that they can keep marketing to you, and they really want you on the webinar so that they can sell you something. Now, I myself have done that a lot in the past, and I myself taught that in the past, and I have reformed my ways. I no longer do that. But there's so much happening, and there's so much trickiness happening in my industry of online marketing. And so more and more I've come to be willing to look inside myself and to be willing to ask the questions of what doesn't feel right to me. Another way that I have asked myself what isn't right is to think about the golden rule. And this is very useful in all areas of life, isn't it? The golden rule. And one way to ask about the golden rule is, what are you seeing in your industry that are actions that you don't wish to be done to you? So in online marketing, when I'm consuming other people's marketing, I don't like the fact that they force me to give my email address. Sometimes they interrupt me, right, with a pop-up to give my email address in order to continue on reading something that they wanted to give for free anyway. That really doesn't feel heart-based to me. That doesn't feel generous to me. And so I don't want to do that anymore, and I'm encouraging other people in my industry to not do that anymore. Or another pet peeve of mine in my industry is using psychological pricing or charm pricing, which is using things like $99 instead of $100. If it's $100, tell me it's $100 so that my mind can plan my budget. If you tell me it's $99, it's charming me into scrambling my mind and not being able to more easily plan my budget, right? It's if you want to look it up, it's on Wikipedia. It's called psychological pricing. It's $97, $47, $27, $19.99. All of these are charm or psychological pricing with an ulterior motive to trick the consumer into thinking the price is less than it actually is. And so I have stopped doing that in my industry, or I'm encouraging my industry to stop doing that as well. Now, it doesn't change overnight, but as one voice, other people who see me doing the right thing will be encouraged to also do the right thing. And so one way to, so here are some ways to change your industry. One is to find out who else feels the same way and collaborate to do something about it. Now, actually, even before that, I should make this even primary to that. If you find something you don't like happening in your industry, start a blog about it, or even just write about it on, on LinkedIn. You can blog about it on LinkedIn, or post it in appropriate industry forums, for example, on LinkedIn, to say, hey, does anyone feel this way too? That you see this happening in the industry and it doesn't feel right to you. You can just ask the question. You don't have to come down hard on people yet, just to see if other people feel the same way. Because you may, in very fact, you may be alone in how you feel because you have a higher conscience. You have a more sensitive conscience than other people. It may be true. And if so, then you just simply write your own blog post and say, hey, I feel this way. I don't know if anyone feels this way, but I'm going to share how I feel. And let me know what you think, right? And once you start seeing other people share with you that they feel the same way, then you can say, hey, do you want to collaborate and share this message more widely? And maybe eventually you can create an event with that person to say, hey, let's do a webinar, let's do a Google Hangout talking about this issue and what we can do differently to bring more generosity, to bring more honesty to our industry, right? And I give you a post in this mind map to share with you what I'm doing to lead my industry towards more generosity and more honesty and more purity of generosity. And I will link that in the show notes. I wrote about this about a month ago, called the 3 major shifts that I'm making in my marketing. So I will link to that in the episode notes. Okay, so the second question that I invite you to ask when you're thinking how you can also improve your industry is, what values do you hope for your industry? What values do you hope that you and other businesses and other professionals like you will instill in your industry? So, I think in general I've talked about more generosity, more genuine care, and more honesty. These are 3 overall values for any industry, right? But let's talk in more detail here. Some questions you can ask is, how can your industry be more caring about the well-being of the customers in your industry, and care more about the well-being of customers and less about profit? Now, the irony is that if you care more about the customer's well-being and less about profit, the customers will actually feel it. They will actually sense the care that you give to them, and ironically, it may actually make you more profit in the mid to long term. I have found this to be true in my own business. Another question is, how can your industry care more for the natural environment, for the planet? For global warming, does your industry take a stand? If your industry does contribute to global warming, does your company take a stand for that? If your company creates pollution, or if your industry creates pollution, does your company take a stand against the pollution? If your industry can use more renewable resources, does your company take a stand for using more renewable resources? Just think about that, and start to have, if you work in a company, start to ask your coworkers, hey, does anyone care about the environment like I care? And if so, how can our company do just a little bit better this year? We don't have to make big changes, but how can we do just a little bit better, right? Okay, so if you're in a business, if you run your own business, you can also ask that question of yourself, right? These questions. How can you care more for the people that you work with? Okay, so but if you care more for your coworkers, they will sense that and they will pass that forward. Okay. Now, if you some of this stuff is in the wrong place here. Let's see if I can make that change. Okay. Okay. How can your industry care more for the local community? How can your business or your company care more? Ask yourself that question and see what answers come to you. How can your industry have more honesty and transparency and less manipulation and less ulterior motives? Ask yourself that question through your day-to-day work and see what answers come to you, and aim to apply those answers bit by bit to your work. If you decide to make any changes based on these questions, I would love to know about it, and I'm sure the Our Highest Work community would love to know as well. So come to our community, www.ourhighestwork.com, click on community, and post in our community what changes you have decided to make in your business or what changes you are advocating for in your company. I would love to know. Okay, so the third question I would love to ask you is, who is modeling great values for your industry, and what actions, therefore, should be known more widely? Share about them. And this is a question that I invite you to take forward into just your daily work and your daily reading on the news, your daily reading on Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever. Notice what other companies in your industry are being leaders. And I want to give you a resource to find inspiring companies that shine in their social responsibility. And this is bcorporation.net. The letter B, corporation.net. And I will post a link in our show notes for this. They have a best of the world annual ranking for companies who really care and have signed up to become a B corporation. And really inspiring stories there. Okay, so I'm hoping that this is helpful for you, to help you think about your industry and to start improving your industry, because you really do make a difference. So start to make that difference today. Okay, now, next and finally, in our mindful activism, let's talk about how you and I can each improve our citizenship, our role in our community, in our neighborhood, in our city, our county, our state, our province, our country, and the planet itself. Okay, so first of all, to improve your okay, let me first talk about improving one's neighborhood. So much today, we live in neighborhoods that we are not active in, right? So often, people don't know their neighbors anymore. So that's actually the first question that I want to ask you. Do you know your neighbors? Do you know the people who live in your neighborhood? If you don't, let me give you a resource that can help you to get to know the people in your neighborhood. And that resource launched just recently, but it's already getting some good traction in many places, at least in the United States, maybe elsewhere as well. And that website is called nextdoor.com, www.nextdoor.com, and I'll link that in the show notes as well. And in nextdoor.com, I've been able to go there and really find out what's happening in my neighborhood. People are posting things, just even, getting involved, even as simple as, hey, I've got something I want to give away. I've got a table I'm no longer using. Could anyone use a kitchen table right now? And people post things like that. Or, hey, folks, I need someone to help me take care of my dog while I'm away on vacation. Can anyone help? So people are posting things like that. People are also posting things to watch out for in our neighborhood. Hey, recently people have found like poisonous meatballs in our neighborhood that dogs are eating, like out on the street. Someone is putting poisonous meatballs in our neighborhood. I don't know why, because they're just malicious, and that was posted on Nextdoor so that we can watch out for that. Right? So, and other people are posting local events. Hey, in our neighbor, the event is happening. This garage sale or even this community fair is happening. And so, nextdoor.com, check that out and see if you can help to get your neighbors. And the cool thing about Nextdoor.com, and I'm not going to go to the website right now, but if you go there, you will find that you can invite your neighbors using local postcards that you can send through Nextdoor for free. So you can go to Nextdoor and go to the postcard section, and Nextdoor will have your neighborhood mapped out, and you can click on certain houses and just send postcards for free to them. Nextdoor will do it for you, and then you can invite them. Hey, do you want to join this website that we're getting our neighborhood involved? You know. And I have another resource for you at www.nw.org that has a variety of ideas, from low-level to high-level community involvement ideas. And I will put that in the show notes as well, in the episode notes. And finally, another way to get involved in your neighborhood is to think about this, to actually go and knock on their door and to introduce yourself as a neighbor. You know, maybe you can let them know that you want to get involved in improving the neighborhood, and see if they like to get involved, let you know as well. You know, people used to bring, you know, muffins to their new next door neighbors. People don't do that anymore, right? But why can't we knock on the next door and say, hey, you know, I just want to introduce myself. I live next door, and if you ever need help with anything, let me know. Maybe I can help. And just want to say hi. Your neighbor would probably be so grateful that they have a friendly next door neighbor, or even 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 doors down. You know? So think about that. I hope that this message will inspire some of you to do this. And if some of you start to do this, the world really will be made a better place. All right, let's talk about getting active in your city, your county, your state, or your province. And that's really the same strategies that I thought of can be applied in each of these localities. So the first question I ask you here is, what is bothering you about your city, about your county, about your state, your province? What is bothering you and that you wish were different? And this is something you can ask yourself as you go about your weekly activities in your home city, right, wherever you are. To just start thinking, you know, what can be improved? What is really present for me? What do I observe often that can be improved in my city? Well, why not get involved? Why not make a difference? You can make a difference. Of course you can. So, again, the issue that you notice often is probably the very issue that the universe, that God, is calling out to you to get involved with. So the way you can get involved is to go to google.com and search on Google the name of the issue. For example, if I find, I don't see this often in my city, but some people walk nearby homeless people all the time. And if that bothers them, then they can Google homelessness and then their city and see what's going on in their city to address the issue of homelessness and getting involved, because chances are, if it's an issue that bothers you, it's an issue that's bothering lots of other people as well. And if it's an issue that's bothering lots of people, that means there's probably an initiative that's already started, and you can get involved in that nonprofit group or that initiative. Contact them to see what you can do to help as well. Now, if in the rare case that you really go to Google and you can't search that, you can't find that issue and what's going on in your city, well, start something. And you can start something by, you know, you can use nextdoor.com and post, hey, is anyone bothered by this? And you can also, you know, something else I didn't even write here in mindmap, but I'll add to this later, is Craigslist.com. Have you ever gone there? And gotten involved at Craigslist.com? You can post about issues in your city and see what the forums in your city are talking about. www.craigslist.org. It's worldwide. And find your local area and check it out. The other thing is you can go to the website for your city or your county or your state or your province. Check them all out, in fact. It's be very interesting. In fact, if you've never visited the website for your city or county or state or province, I encourage you to look at it this week. You might be quite intrigued by what's going on there. Spend, you know, an hour or two this weekend or evenings when you're not working. Check out those websites. See if there's some issues that are going on there that give you some energy. Yeah? Okay. Now let's talk about national. Now, I live in the United States, so of course my resources here are US centric. But if you live outside the US, I invite you to um, share your own resources for your country. You can share that on your own mind map by going to www.mindmeister.com or post the resources to get involved in your country. You can do that at www.medium.com. Okay? And if you post a blog post about how to get involved in your country or a mind map, please do contact me, and I can link that mind map or blog post here in this mind map, right? But here for the United States, there are a couple of websites I invite you to go check out. One is www.serve.gov, serve.gov. This is the President's National Service Initiative. Check it out. You might find something intriguing and fueling your energy there. The one issue that really gets me going is campaign finance reform, which is getting money out of politics. Getting money out of politics. And there's currently a campaign right now that's called May1.us. And I'll show you May1.us. It may be, I don't know, maybe over by the time whenever you listen to or watch this, but right now in the month of May of 2014, this is incredible campaign. What they're doing is really unique. They are funding a super PAC, which is a very, very large political action committee. They're funding a super PAC to end all super PACs. I know it sounds ironic, but this guy knows what he's talking about. This guy is very famous on TED.com, and he is a Harvard scholar about politics, and he knows what he's talking about. So he's working on getting the influence of money out of politics, and they are being very successful right now. So I encourage you to check out May1.us. Can pledge if you can to help end the influence of money in U.S. politics. Okay. So a couple of other tips I want to share with you about being a good citizen is that there are so many issues, right? There is global warming, there's, like I said, homelessness, there's privacy rights issues, there are, there's gun issues, there's, abortion. I mean, there's all kinds of issues out there. But the question is, the issues that are present for you, the issues that are true for your family or your community, the ones that keep coming back to you on a regular basis are the ones that I believe life is calling you to get involved with. And so whatever issue you care about, it's going to be much more effective if you can find and connect with other people who also care about that issue. Now, one more place I want you to check out is causes.org. Causes.org is a very effective website. Actually, you know what? I don't know if it's cause.org or causes.org. No, it's causes. It's causes.com. Actually, is it cause.com? No, it's causes.com. Okay, causes, C-A-U-S-E-S.com is another place to find and get involved in the issues you care about. Because if you really care about something, you're going to be more likely to be persistent and stay involved and build the skills. That's another thing, in fact, that I put in this mind map, some tools for you to build your skills in citizenship. Because to make a difference, it's not just about going to a website and signing up and there you've made a difference. That's the first step. But really you need to make the connections and build the skills so that you become more effective at making the difference in that issue. Every issue has different skills you need to build to make a difference in that issue. So I really encourage you to get involved in an existing group if you can, or an existing website, and see what they've already learned. Because if you're going to reinvent the wheel, it's going to take a lot of time. but instead learn from what others have already figured out about solving that issue, and then get involved and lend your voice, lend your energy to that. Yeah? I look forward to hearing whether this episode has sparked any ideas or any initiatives. And if so, let me know. Go to this episode's video page, ourhighestwork.com/25, and I invite you to share if this has ignited any thoughts for you or gotten you to do something. And I want to thank those who were active in today's commenting. Thank you, Bob, Temani, Victoria, Cherise. So far, I've seen your comments, and I want to thank you for that. So with that, I'm going to bring back and the screen sharing. And I just want to, again, say, you are so important in the world. You really, really are. Don't ever let anyone say that you are just another person who cannot make a difference, because you yourself make a huge difference every day, more than you realize, especially if you use social media. And you are not alone. You and I and other people who care about the issues that you care about can literally change the world about that issue in your lifetime. So get started today. Get started today. One of the wonderful metaphors is the idea about the tree, right? The best time to have planted an oak tree, the best time to have planted a strong, tall tree was 20 years ago. But the second best time to plant that tree is today. So with that, I wish you a wonderful week forward. And until the next episode, be well, keep your thoughts positive, and always remember that you make a difference every day. Be well.